Act Natural with John and Courtney is a lifestyle podcast exploring the entrepreneurial culture in a practical way. Tune in to hear these two millennials balance their 6 businesses, small town politics, nonprofit, and a new baby who refuses to sleep through the night. This is Act Natural, and today I have got a very special guest with me today. I decided to replace John with my good friend Devan. Devan Carpenter has worked with us at Fernway Fox for the good part of a month, and before that she was shooting weddings with us, either film or photography, for the good part of a year. So we've gotten to really get to know her, and she's taken a job with us full-time this last month, and we have just fallen in love with her and her amazing personality and her happy spirit and her positive encouraging demeanor, and we are so happy to have her on a team. So thank you today, Devan, for being with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So the reason why we lost John and we grabbed you is because we're going to be talking about something that I just feel like maybe boys don't really have a say right now.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to cover this topic myself. And as I was talking through it, it kind of seemed like, you know, John, maybe you shouldn't really join me in this conversation. And he's thought about it more, and the more we kind of delved into this topic, the more he kind of felt it would be better to have someone else. And then it was perfect, because as we were discussing it, you just had all of these thoughts and this input, and it just kind of added to everything, and we were piggybacking on each other, and it was like, whoa, we need to do this together.
Absolutely.
So today we're talking about why I'm not a girl boss.
Then let that sizzle, let that sink in for a minute, because that sounds terrible, right? That sounds like the worst.
So anti-feminist.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Absolutely not.
You want to talk a little bit about this girl boss complex that we see?
A lot of it, I feel the girl boss complex has been, definitely intensified by how much influence people have on social media, particularly like single women. And which I'm not saying, oh, you're a bad influence on the people for succeeding. Like that's not at all what I'm saying.
Right.
But it puts a lot of pressure on women that aren't necessarily succeeding, but are just kind of like doing things at a slower pace than a lot of women have been doing.
Okay.
And there's been this pressure to like do your own thing, start your own business, boss up. And it is so, I mean, as a young woman, that's terrifying to me.
Right. It's terrifying. It can be damaging. Mm-hmm. It can be intimidating. It's definitely terrifying. Talk more about that.
I feel it's only damaging if you're dishonest about how you got where you are. But I won't say it's only damaging in that way, but it can be very damaging to young women that aren't going out on their own and taking out huge loans to start their own business and all these other intimidating things. And a lot of, I'll say, I'm technically Gen Z, which I found that out today. Fully thought I was a millennial. I got kicked out of the millennial group. It's very much in the age, like, we've grown up. I didn't grow up in front of a screen per se, but I grew up with the technology.
Yeah.
And I'm on it more and more and more. I mean, it's pretty much my job to be on social media. And seeing how a lot of people represent themselves, it's easy to mislead others online.
Okay.
And a lot of people take advantage of being able to mislead others online. Like, they'll pose in front of other people's cars just to, like, prove that they're a boss. And it's just like, there's so much that goes into being a boss. And I mean, you know that specifically. And a lot of people want the title, but haven't really done the work for it. Or the people that do the work for it, they feel they're not doing enough because they're not the boss.
Okay.
Or a boss. And people that are constantly, like, people post so much. Like, they're so exposed online, and you're able to put forth this image that even if you're not a boss, I look like one.
Right.
And people will look up to that person like, oh, I want to be like so-and-so online. But you can't really place too much value on that.
That's so true. I mean, we've definitely seen, one, you and I are both part of Fernway Fox, and so we're part of that media company.
Yeah.
And part of our job is to brand. And with branding, it's trying to make things look better, make things look appealing for the client and the potential customers, right? And so we know, like, the power of Photoshop. And I think that we do a pretty good job of trying to make sure all of our stuff looks, as natural as it can. So I'll set these to-do lists and I'll set these tasks. And I'll judge myself so harshly because it's like, wow, you didn't get that done? You're not worth being here.
Oh, man. That brings me to another thing.
Yeah.
Negative self-talk.
Yes.
Has destroyed my self-esteem. Like,
yes.
It is not good
Even
for
if
you.
people are like, hey, you're doing great, or like, hey, like, you look good today, or good job, Devan, or good job, Courtney, it's like, no, I'm terrible. I'm the worst. I didn't succeed at this. And that negative self-talk, for me, has put me in some of the darkest and lowest places. People say, I'm so proud of you, and I'll just compare myself and measure myself short based on what I have not accomplished and what I have not done by this amount of time. And I'll just say, I'm failing, I'm not good enough, and I'm nowhere near as much of a girl boss, or I'm nowhere close to as far along as I need to be as this woman is. It's the worst.
The hardest thing is, like, not measuring yourself as someone else's progress in life. And you literally get a shot-for-shot, day-for-day timeline of someone's life because of, like, social media. And you're just like, oh, well, last month she was doing this, and she got a new car. And this month she just moved into a big new house.
Right.
And it's like, you don't know what, like, kind of loans she had to take out, what type of... It's just, those people work hard. And a lot of times, like you're saying, those people have teams. It's not by themselves. And it being presented as, oh, me by myself, I did this and I did that. It makes you feel bad for not, like, kicking ass every day. It's like, sometimes you have a bad day. Even a bad week. A month, even.
You're allowed to have a bad month.
Yeah. And it's just, as long as you, like... I was talking earlier, I'm like, you gotta go to bed with yourself at the end of the day. And if all, the thing is, if all you did was sit in the closet in your underwear and eat Takis,
that's it.
If you're okay at the end of the day, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go out and conquer the world every single day. You can do that next week.
Absolutely. Like, your value is not determined on your completed to-do list. And I have to tell myself that, because I look at my life all the time and I think, the house is not cleaned. It is not done. Henry needs a bath. We are not finished with this film or this project, or this client is waiting for us to get back to them, or people are still waiting on this drink to be launched, or whatever. And I just sit with myself and I just think, I'm the worst. And the thing is my value is not determined upon that, and I can just sit.
Yeah.
We can just eat our Takis.
Yeah.
And
eat your Takis, girl.
Eat your Takis, and it's fine. I'm not saying go out there and be lazy. I'm just saying give yourself a break, because you're not less of a person if you don't get something done. And you don't have less worth if you don't get something done. And you're not, you don't deserve any less to be there. Yeah. That's something that sometimes I struggle with in my own shop. Yeah. That's my coffee shop. Yeah. And I walk in sometimes and I have my head down and I think I shouldn't be here right now because I haven't done enough to be here right now. And it's like, what?
That's not fair to you.
That's not fair to me. I know that, like, I didn't do 100% of the work. I had a team that helped me, but it's on my shoulders. It's like, wow, because I wasn't in the trenches every single day. I wasn't, like, to use the metaphor, single momming it.
Yeah.
Because I had a team. Mm-hmm. It made me feel like I don't have ownership. Mm-hmm. That's not fair.
No.
And that's me, like, being hard on myself and feeling like I don't have value or I don't have the worth. And that's just some honest, real talk. Mm. And people call it real tea. That is
the real tea.
That's just how I really honestly feel sometimes. One thing sidebar, mm-hmm. If you can't be authentic, then you just shouldn't even say anything. Mm-hmm. And John and I decided a long time ago this podcast, whenever we ended up doing one someday, was going to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And it may not be appealing, and it may break the image mm-hmm. that people have of me or of the business by hearing some of this. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay with that mm-hmm. because I know that other people feel the same way. Some people don't feel like they can hold their head up in their own house mm-hmm. because of maybe a decision that they made or a decision that they didn't make, mm-hmm. right? Something that didn't get done. And the thing is you deserve to be everywhere that you are.
Yeah.
Right?
That's heavy, Courtney. Yeah, I fully agree. And there's a lot of people fully glorify burnout nowadays.
Oh, let's talk burnout.
Let's talk burnout, Courtney.
Devin.
Because I was fully, like, I had been burned out for like 2 semesters. Okay. Like, did I finish my junior year? Yeah, I was finishing my junior year, and that's when I was like, hey, I need to stop.
Okay.
But I was getting burned out my sophomore year because the major I was in was very demanding outside of school. Okay. And I was like, well, I'll just go to school during the week and only focus on school during the week and only work on the weekends. So I was going to school all week and working on the weekends and going to school all week and working on the weekends and not getting a break ever. And, like, maybe on an odd Tuesday I wouldn't have to go out and cover a news story or something. And I would just be, like, sitting there like, what am I not doing? I'm not doing anything. I'm failing. I'm not doing anything. And I would try to... It's so hard to stay ahead mm-hmm. and make time for myself because I didn't. Like, self-care did not exist for, like, a whole year.
No. I remember until recently looking at these... 17 ways to have self-care in the morning, and I'm like,
in the
who
morning
has time for 17 things in the morning? Okay, I may have exaggerated that.
No, it's usually like 10 though. Yeah, that's
like
a lot.
10 things in the morning. It's like, let's just say I start this at 6. Yeah. You want me to get all that stuff done? We're looking at noon before I walk out the door.
It's so
sorry.
Much.
Continue.
No, it's fine. It didn't exist. Self-care was not a thing for me. I was just like, I had a Pop-Tart this morning. That's self-care.
Woo, like, fed myself.
Yeah, it was just such a disrespect to my own self, my own happiness to put myself through that. Not be like everyone puts, like, not everyone. Mm-hmm. A lot of people put themselves through school and they work and they do all this stuff and then they're like, I made it through. Why can't you do it? And I'm like, well, I'm not you.
There is a different stick of measurement for each of us, and we just compare and just think that we're all made the same and we can all do it the same way, mm-hmm. and that's just not the case. Mm-hmm. And it's not fair to just generalize, mm-hmm. you know?
Because there's so many people that, like, people I went to school with, like, the 4.0 students stressed me out because they're in honors classes and they're working at the paper and they're just killing it and then I just think, I'm like, when's the last time you, like, went home? Or, like, and I don't mean, like, just go home, like, to your apartment. I mean, like go see your parents.
Right.
Go walk downtown. Like, have some time to not be a student. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard to take that off because my identity was fully wrapped up in being a college student.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fully. I'm like when you introduce yourself, you're like, hi, my name is Devan. I'm a communications major at UT Martin.
Wow, I know everything about you now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, that was, like, my introduction.
Yeah.
But, like, people ask, you in school? Like, that's a question they ask all the time. Like, even when I was working at Pizza Hut. They were like, so you in school? And I was just like, yeah. I'm like, we're here for pizza, man. Like, what do you... And it's like this pressure even from strangers. Like, are you doing something with your life? Are you going to get out of this Pizza Hut?
This hut made of pizza and cheese.
Yes.
The way you said it was like, I'm sorry, I really pictured pizza lining the walls and cheese gluing the door.
No, it's like, there's this, like...
Are you going to get out of here? I'll eat my way out.
I was like, are you? It's like, let's hope we both leave here tonight, ma'am. Like, it was just so weird. Like, there's so much pressure today to go to school and find your dream job and follow your passion, but school is not for everybody.
It is not.
Everyone is, it's so pushed. And, like, even back to, I remember in middle school, they're asking me, what college are you going to go to?
Right.
And I was like, I'm 12.
I'm 12. I like cheese.
Yeah.
That is so true. And one time I was really opinionated and a little snotty. You know, whenever you look at yourself in middle school or high school or whenever it hit you and you were like, I've got the world figured out. For me, that was sophomore year of high school. I was like, I've already been through heartache. I know everything about love. And if you need advice, no. I'm going to give you my advice. You know, like,
you don't have to ask.
A snotty little kid, and I will say child at 16, okay? And I just felt so sure of myself. So I ended up, growing up and going student teaching, and I got a job as a teacher, and the teacher across the hall said, hey, I'm sorry, this was before I got my job. This was while I was student teaching. She said, hey, do you want to come talk to my senior class about college and about what it's like at UTM? And I was so snotty. I said, well, I actually don't think that everyone should go to college, so I don't really feel comfortable telling everyone that.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, well, it's a AP honors course, so they're actually already in college, getting college credit. And I was like, oh, well, then anytime you're ready, I'd love to tell them what it's like. Like, I was just so snotty, and, you feel like you know everything. But that is so true, and, I mean, the thing is that we continue to paint these broad strokes on everyone's lives, and you think, you've got to be in school at this age, out of school at that age. You've got to get this kind of job. You've got to get a husband at this time and have kids by this time. And now, if you want to be your own woman, well, now you got to have your own side hustle or be your own girl boss or whatever it is. And the thing is it's not that simple. And I wish that we wouldn't feel like such failures for not meeting this invisible, like, fake rule. It's not even real.
No. Who made these rules?
Who came up with these social norms? Why do we have to try to kill ourselves to make those things happen? I know, like, I definitely struggled with my own mental health whenever I was balancing teaching and working with the nonprofit, and then working on the weddings, and then working eventually with the coffee shop. You do all that, you add a first year of marriage into the mix. It's like...
Courtney, how are you still here right now?
I am still here right now by the grace of God, and my wonderful journal. The coffee shop was not around my first year of marriage, but if it had been, you might be having this conversation in a cemetery, because it was just hard enough. The mistake of the misunderstood gravity of multitasking. Yeah. Is that okay to put it that way?
Yeah.
One, you're in school. Okay, let's just say you're a student. Sometimes, for some people, that's going to be all you can do. Okay, that is your 100%. Okay? Maybe you get a job and you're in school. Well, now something's going to give because you were already 100% school. So now you're probably brought down to 80 or maybe 70. And I'm sure you're not giving 100% on your job that you just got, right? Okay, well, let's say that you made it through school. And in my case, I got a grown-up job and I got married. Okay, well, for me, that took a lot. Especially because it's really important to invest in that first year of teaching. You have got to establish yourself as a teacher. You've got to create, rules and procedures and what's your discipline policy and all of this stuff. You don't want to be distracted with that because you've got to, you're already behind. You're not one of these, I've been teaching for 15 years, like you've been teaching for 5 months, okay? You got to get it together. And the same thing with having a husband, having a wife. You have been your own person for X many years, and now you're going to conjoin lives with another life. That's gonna mess with you a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna be encouraging and it's gonna love you. It's gonna all these great things about marriage, but it's also gonna test you. And it's also going to confuse you. It's like, this is every marriage, okay? This is not just my marriage where we were both super distracted and then we were like, oh yeah, we're married.
Hello, husband. How are you?
This is people who, they may not have anything else going on. They may have an easier or a less stressful job. Maybe I'm going to say they work in a spa and they work organizing soaps all day. And they pick up soap and they put it from one room to the other, and they are in a peaceful environment.
Isn't that the dream?
Himalayan salt, right? So I'm trying to come up with the most stress-free job possible, and they pay you with money and cupcakes. Okay, so that's your life. You're gonna come home. Being married is still gonna be a stress in your life, or whatever. It's still gonna be something that you've got to have that bandwidth for. It's still going to add this new element. And I just feel like people just assume that you can multitask as many things and put as many things on your plate as possible. It's like, yeah, well, like you said before, you're like, yeah, my cousin, she got married and she's in school and she's got a job and they got a baby on the way. I was like, and she's rocking it. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Maybe she is. That'd be amazing. But I'm sorry, my stick at which I measure myself is different than your cousin's. And maybe she's got help, maybe she doesn't, maybe she's rocking it all by herself. But I cannot compare myself, and I can't say, Stacy did it, so I can too. Because that's just not the case.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm so guilty of that. Because it's I don't know, everything is so, it's back to time and being time oriented. It's I'm 21 and living, I'm thriving. Woo! And I'm everyone's definition of thriving is different. And whether thriving is you making thousands of dollars and selling makeup online, if that's you thriving, do you. But me thriving right now is me working at Fernway Fox, and I have 3 roommates.
Yeah.
In this economy, yes. It's just I still, the way I've had to change completely how I measure my success, because after taking a break from college, I was like, who the hell am I?
Okay, yeah.
Because like I said, so much of my identity was wrapped up as I'm gonna be the next big radio star and I'm gonna have my own talk show. And when people ask me before, it's there's this period where I was just working, and it always came out of my mouth like it was a disappointment that I was just working right now.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, so what do you do? I'm like, I work at Pizza Hut. And they're like, are you in school? And I'm like, I was. And they're like, oh. And I'm just like, don't awe me.
Right.
Should have been awing me when I was in school. I genuinely, I was not okay.
Yeah.
I was not okay at all. And, I had to go talk to somebody. I was like, hey, man.
That's okay.
Actually, that last semester was so bad. I medically withdrew from that semester, from school and that semester, because I was like, I am not in a well mental state.
And that's another thing. assuming, like, maybe you did say, yeah, I am in school. Maybe it was when you were in school. Oh, okay. Let's move on because you must be fine. Because you have checked these boxes in my mind of where you should be at this age. Mm-hmm. Who cares if it's killing you?
Mm-hmm. Right. Who cares?
Who cares? I care, Devin.
God.
I care. All right.
That's so big.
I want to talk about the word empowerment. Okay?
Yeah.
We've been saying all of this stuff. A lot of it has been about, you know, you in school and, you know, me trying to survive, you know, whatever life I'm living right now.
We've got to get through this thing called life.
Gotta get through this. Woo! But a big thing about why I don't claim the title of girl boss and why I don't want to kind of fall into that image or that whatever you paint that lifestyle as, that's not me. Mm-hmm. And a big reason is because of the usage of this word empowerment. One, I feel empowered by feeding Henry every day. Mm-hmm. My body makes food and he is fat, okay? Like, I feel empowered by doing that, and every woman should feel empowered by having a baby, whether it came out of your tummy or it came out a different way, okay? You should feel empowered that happened, and you should feel empowered if you're a mom and you got your baby from someone else, and you are mothering someone, and you are loving someone, and you are giving them that attention. Oh my God, this baby needs me all the time, needs my just attention. Anyone can be holding him. You walk in the room and he's like, "Ma!" It's like, okay. Mm-hmm. So you should feel empowered, period. But you do not have to feel empowered by killing yourself in your job or in your side hustle or in school. It's like it's an excuse. It's an overuse of this word empowerment to just convince people that burning themselves out is okay. Mm-hmm. And it's not okay to say, yeah, you know, I've got this job and I've got this going on and I've got this going on and I'm so empowered and I'm making it happen and I'm being a girl boss. But are you mentally okay?
Right.
Are you going home crying in the car? Because if that's the case, and I've been there, you're not okay. And you need to understand that. Like, people just think, I can check all these boxes and life is supposed to be hard. Here's the thing. I didn't say it was going to be easy. And, you know, we should work for our meal. But at the same time, if someone wants to give you a meal, accept it. Because you don't have to suffer just because you can. Just because it's an option. Just because you feel like you have to. You know, like, I will tell you right now, when I was having the baby, everything was going great. Mm-hmm. I was definitely in labor, and I did not want pain medicine. I did not want an epidural. I was just kind of feeling it out for a little bit, okay? Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to just keep going naturally for as long as I could. Yeah. It's part of my birth plan that if I did need it, that I would use Nubane, mm-hmm. Which is like a pain medicine through an IV. Mm-hmm. And I had a birth plan. Like, I had it figured out. Like, oh, I have figured out. I had a plan that, like, I'm going to do this naturally as long as I can. And the nurse told me I was struggling through some contractions because, hello, a baby's trying to come out. Mm-hmm. And she said, there's no pride in doing this through pain. You're not going to get a medal if you suffer your way through this. And at the time, I was so mad I wanted to honestly kill that woman. Because I'm like, I know my limits, mm-hmm. and I'm not there yet. Okay? Mm-hmm. I am not crippled by this. I am in control of this. And I understood that if it was too much, I had the control to get some pain medicine. But at that time, I was still in control. Mm-hmm. And I wanted that pain. Mm-hmm. You understand? Like, I was choosing to do this the way that I wanted to do it. And P.S. I felt empowered by that, okay? Yeah. I felt like amazing. But now I look back at it and I'm thinking, what a metaphor.
Yeah. The tea.
Push yourself. There's nothing wrong with hard work. There's nothing wrong with the hustle until it's too much. Until they decided to induce labor or whatever they had me on. Now all my words are going to slip. Everything was fine until, they start to induce me and they give me that Pitocin, and now my labor contractions are closer and stronger together, and I literally feel like I'm about to die. It was like, bam, 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 thank you, ma'am, terrible. And I needed some relief, and so I was like, hey, give me that Nubain. They ended up giving me Stadol. I felt drugged. I cried. I felt like a failure. I'll get more into that later. But the thing is like, what a metaphor that you can handle things. Like, you can do it if you want to until you can't. And that's okay to, at that point, say, I need help. At that point, say, this is not about some sort of pride and sense of empowerment. I feel like as women, we have this responsibility to combat the amount of abuse that women have been through for centuries, and that now it's our job as women to show, what women are really like, how strong we really are. And it's this like feminism in us to just say, I can handle anything and I don't need anyone's help, and I'm going to show you that I can do this without a man or without my fellow women helping me. I can handle this. And the thing is that's fine until it's not.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And that's why I'm not a girl boss.
Oh, man. It's so hard to ask for help. It's fully a pride thing. And also, like, it's just this... It's like you don't want to do any dishonor to the women that are marching in the streets, fighting for our rights and everything. And you're just like, the future is female. I must do it all by myself.
I hear you.
And that's not fair. Because, like, I literally was... Okay, this was the point where I was like, hey, I should probably get some roommates. I should reassess my situation and get myself in a place where I'm not killing myself every month to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I had to... It's like I was working, and I had a really bad day that day, and it was so bad. Everyone at the hut was being mean.
The pizza-lined hut?
Yeah. The walls do kind of look like cheese, like that brownish yellow color.
Delicious.
Yes. Anyway, I was having a really bad day, and customers were being mean to me, and I kept not getting tipped. Yeah. And I was like, my rent is due. Yeah. And I went in the freezer and cried because I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I can't ask James for the money because then I'll be a gold digger. Yeah. And I'll be, oh no. And I was just having this big freak out, crying in the freezer, which anyone that's worked in food can relate. You have cried in the freezer at least once. I was crying in the freezer, and my boss pulls me aside. He's like, Devan, what is wrong? I was like, my rent is due and I'm not making any money. And he was like, well, how much money do you need? I was like, Garth, I'm not asking you for that money. He was like, how much do you need, though? And I was short. I think it was like, it may have been like $35 or $40.
You're almost there.
Yeah, I was so close. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to make this money tomorrow and it's going to be great. And it wasn't. I think and I ended up, like, at the end of that shift, I ended up making enough to cover it, plus having a little bit extra. Yeah. So he was like, Devan, see, you put yourself through all that stress for no reason. And he's like, also, he's like, if I'm able, I'll help you. Because, like, oh my God, bless Garth. He was the best boss I've ever had, like, so far. I mean, obviously, you guys are great, too.
Oh, no, you don't have to.
But, like, no, you guys are wonderful. It's just, like, I was in Pizza Hut for a while, and he's got big dad energy. I can't explain it by anything other than that, but it's like he remembered like how I like my cheese sticks cut and like weird dad stuff like that.
Love it.
And it was just like he was gonna come out of his pockets to help me pay my bills, and it just like I was so ashamed. It just I felt such shame in that.
But we shouldn't.
And I was like, I should have asked somebody, even if it was him or my boyfriend or even my mom.
Who's to say? Like it's always on you. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
You know?
Doesn't.
Especially when you're in a unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I mean, now I know you've got roommates now so they can assist with that. And the thing is people find themselves in a marriage and they'll be like, I want to do this by myself. I get that, because you want to maintain your independence and you want to maintain your idea of self-worth, and if that means meeting this goal, then that's what that is. But please give yourself some grace. Please cut yourself some slack, because those negative thoughts that we talked about at the beginning can become so overwhelming, and they can have such a hold, and that is such a dark place to come out of. And why go there if someone's offering to lend a hand?
Right. You don't have to get to the point of no return. And that's a scary thing. Like, I always still push myself to, like, the point of no return until I'm, like, crying in the freezer.
Get out of that freezer, Devin.
Yes. Like, that's, oh, man. That's the one thing I still struggle with. And just, like, you see all your friends succeeding, and it's always age thing with me. Because, like, even seeing, like musicians and stuff.
Okay.
Like, dude, Billie Eilish is 17.
I was literally just thinking of Billie Eilish.
She is 17.
And you think,
she's the biggest thing in the world right now.
If I had done that at that age, where could I be now? That's not fair. She was homeschooled. Like, they literally made her education and, like, her teaching part of that. It was like, we are going to pursue this for you, and that's going to be your education. Like, we're going to do this as a family. Guess what? She didn't do it all by herself.
No. I went to public school, so like...
Right. And guess what? She never went to public school and didn't have those experiences. So, you know, it's just these different paths, and we think that we can all measure ourselves the same way, even though we have totally different backgrounds and different circumstances that are holding us up. It's impossible to compare yourself to this Hollywood sensation whenever, I'm sorry, but we weren't raised that way. You know?
She was literally raised to be an artist.
Literally.
Yeah.
And we have our own paths, and at our age of, I want to say age of accountability, at our age of being a grown-up, we can then choose, you know, I want to pursue this, I want to pursue this, but at that age, she was pursuing that before it was really even 100% her choice. You know, I think they were like, Billy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she was like, I want to be an artist. And they were like, cool. But it's there's no way that she envisioned everything that she has now.
Yeah, I still like, you can't measure yourself based on anybody. Everyone, like, I like that metaphor with the measuring tape. Like, everyone's is a different length. Everyone's tape's a different length.
And it does not mean that you hit the 6 foot mark, you're successful. That's not fair.
Some people aren't 6 foot. I mean, I am, but...
I mean, I am, but...
like physically. But some people aren't 6 foot in their... not success, I don't want to say that. We'll say in their journey. Everyone's on their own journey.
Everyone's on their own journey.
Everyone's got their own tape.
Own tape. Okay, well, Devin... I'm going to bring this to a close because my baby is crying.
Okay. Gotta get back to the boy.
Gotta get back to the boy. But I cannot tell you how much I've appreciated your authenticity with this conversation. I think that we're going to do this again sometime. If we want to cover more girl boss things or other issues. But, I mean, you're amazing. Everyone loves you. We're so happy to have you on the team. And... We're just gonna rock it, whether we're wearing pants or not, whether we're eating Takis or, you know, making calls and booking clients, you know, whatever it is, we're worth being here and we're awesome. So I'm going to catch you on the flip-flop. That was lame to say, but I'm going to keep it in there. I was like, I'm going to catch you on the flip-flop. This is C. Pearson signing out. I was like, whoa. That is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Like John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. I'm new in town. This is Act Natural with John and Courtney, and today we had Devan Carpenter with us, and you guys will hear from us again soon. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.